to that alone, that you are being spoken to in codes that you do not understand their codes. And that's fine, because I'm going to cover so many of these subjects. I'm going to pull them out the sky, as it were. So by the end of this video, you will be educated on how these codes work. And not only that, what it does to your subconscious mind and what it does by programming, robbing you of that which is yours. Because corona means the crown. In Latin it means golden crown. In Spanish it means crown. In birthing terms, it means when a child is born, its crown is shown, because we are born with a crown around our head. As in the three wise men who give Jesus gold. When you hear the words like coronavirus or corona effect, those words program and move your subconscious mind, which causes most of your automatic responses. So what your subconscious mind hears is, do not touch the gold, do not speak of the gold, do not look at the gold, do not look at the glare of the gold, keep away from the gold, do not speak to people with gold. It is the grammar that I challenge, and it is the foundations of their language being challenged. When your spirit, when your subconscious mind hears this, on the period of Lent, so-called forgiveness, what it hears, several things, and I'll cover two. One of them is to keep away from each other, that you may speak of the gold, or look upon each other's eyes, which is the corona effect in each other's eyes. The separation, ladies and gentlemen, has another fault. Because every currency in this world, apart from Venezuela, as far as I know, and I'll cover that later, has been gold-backed. That means every pound note, every dollar note in your pocket is a potential gold certificate. In other words, since the note itself, which is a corporate instrument, is redeemable by gold. And what do you think is going to happen when the general public realizes that they have gold certificate notes as dollars and pounds in their pocket, and it can be redeemed for real gold and silver? What you're looking at is a conventional 20-pound note, printed only a few weeks ago.
I don't know what that was about, but okay. Morning. Yeah, I'm trying to make some odd feet for this guy, but I get kind of bored with feet right now because I'm just not really happy with this dreams game at all. Everything that I make ends up broken. I have yet to make one successful anything with this stupid. I mean, I really loved the game at first. I have no idea what is going on. It's not a new game, obviously. It's been out for a few years, but they just released it. So there's like thousands of videos already of people working on it. And so anything that I do has already been done 10 times greater than I can do it. So really, what's the point? I just simply plug in and go and copy their stuff and use everything that they've made. And then why go to mine since theirs is better? I don't get it. Kind of irritated. I really had high hopes for this game. When I heard about it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But I can't make one area that goes off to like 15 different areas, because after I get to 2 or 3, it just goofs up and breaks. So every time I've worked on an area, it just ends up broken. So this is Broken Dreams. I guess that's what I am going to call my thing. Whatever. I'm trying to find something to watch or listen to while I'm doing this. I was looking through my YouTube on my other computer to see if I could find me a little something to watch while or listen to while I'm doing this. I'm sure I can find something, but I'm enjoying the coffee. Oh, come on, just where's all my guys? I mean, I don't see anything on my subscriptions. It's like it's all filtered through really good. Oh my, where is all my subscribers? Okay. Here, that'll work, I guess.
Biblical cosmology believers
Alright.
got something wrong. They're missing something in their model. So I want to go over it. Genesis 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So there's waters, there's darkness, there's an earth without form and void, and the Spirit of God is moving upon the face of the waters. So there's actually two faces here. There's the face of the deep and the face of the waters. And there was darkness upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. I argue with people online in conversation because they say space is fake. Space doesn't exist. There is no space. Well, the first 4 verses that I just read in Genesis talks about a place of darkness. Three times it mentions it here. And we can't ignore that, can we? So we'll find out kind of how this is laid out when we read about the firmament. Or that was 5 verses, sorry. Verse 6 says, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So we have the ground that we live on, that I'm standing on right now. I'll just call it earth. And it's stationary, obviously. And then we have, let me get a new marker. Then we have, call this the air, or the sky, whatever you want to call it. And we know that as you go higher, it gets thinner.
Just taking out that blue.
The air does. whenever there was darkness upon the face of the deep, well, what we learn in the verses about the firmament is that he divided the waters with the firmament. So there's going to be a black marker here again. We'll draw a line here. We'll call this the firmament. And then we'll go like this. Because remember, the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. This will be the face of waters. And those waters are part of the deep, the great deep. Or it says, there's darkness upon the face of the deep. So this would be face of the deep. Oops. And then we have the earth was without form and void there. And then we'll read on. God said, let the waters under the heaven, so the waters under the heaven, so I lost my place. Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. So we'll do that. We'll make some dry land appear. Alright. And
Making a knuckle.
God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. So then we have waters that are flat and need a container. Water at its surface is always flat. There's never been any kind of observation made of water that's curving at its surface ever. Okay, so now we have dry land appearing. We have the gathering of the waters or the seas, and that's what he called them, seas. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So we'll just add some green there. God saw that it was good. Alright. Then, in the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So we have up here in the firmament. Now, the firmament is dark waters. I should actually dark waters, face of the deep. Okay, so this is darkness. Darkness, right here, firmament. And we have the sun in the firmament. The sun in the firmament. We have the moon. The sun, moon, and stars. So we'll just go like this for the stars. Those are stars. Now, some other verses that are very important, because this I'm finding out the firmament is not just for the stars and the planets. It's much more than that. If we go to Psalm 18 verse 9 says, He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. Darkness right here. Darkness under his feet. Darkness under his feet. And then also in verse 11, well, I'll read 10 too. When he rode upon a cherub, he did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. So he flies up here. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. So, dark waters, we already got that there. So this is God's secret place, the firmament. God's secret place, dark waters, firmament. In Psalm 102, verse 19, it says, For he hath looked down from the height of his sanctuary. From heaven did the Lord behold the earth. So up here, he looks down from up above. Psalm 150, verse 1 says, Praise ye the Lord. Praise God in his sanctuary. Praise him in the firmament of his power. Over to the book of Enoch, chapter 18. We find out something else about this place, this firmament. Okay, so Enoch went to a place, he saw the treasures of the winds, and he saw how the winds are the pillars of the earth. The pillars of the heaven. So I'm going to write that down. Okay. The four winds, right here. Four winds are I'll just make them like pillars. Four winds, pillars. And I'll read that verse for you in just a moment. It says here, chapter 18, verse 2, it says, And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth and the firmament of the heaven. I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven and have their station between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of heaven. Now, in verse 11, we learn something that I never would have expected. And I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure, alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. I saw there 7 stars, like great burning mountains. And to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said, This place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and the hosts of heaven. So, that again is the firmament. Because it says, I saw there 7 stars, like great burning mountains. This is, God put the stars in the firmament, remember? So, I'm actually going to erase some of my stars so I have more room to write here. 7 transgressing stars, because he says those stars didn't obey the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising. and he was angry with them because they didn't come forth at their appointed times. So that could have been on day 4, the beginning of their rising. That, to me, that makes sense that it was be the day that he created them. That evening they would have had the beginning of their rising. But they didn't come out at the proper time, and so he was wroth with them and bound them till the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years. So we have 7 imprisoned planets. Prison for stars and a host of heaven. Prison for stars and host of heaven. We're right there, the firmament, the darkness. They're in prison, under chains of darkness. So there's a couple of verses I'll read here to verify that. In the book of Jude, verse 13 says, raging waves of the sea, see, these are dark waters. Firmament, it has dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. So it says, raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. So this is the blackness of darkness. It's a prison. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some prison bars so we don't forget that it's a prison. Prison for the planets and the stars. And we learn something else about this same place. In chapter 19 of Enoch, the very next chapter, we learn that there's something else in here too. And Uriel said to me, here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women, and their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods. Here shall they stand till the day of the great judgment, in which they shall be judged, till they are made an end of. We also have the Genesis 6 angels, we'll call them. In Genesis 6, they came down and took human wives. They're imprisoned up there too. And just for clarity, if you go to Enoch chapter 10, you hear about these fallen angels, that the Genesis 6 angels, they took human wives. Well, you hear about them being buried in the valleys of the earth, in the earth itself, like down here, for 70 generations. But after that, they were let off from this abyss. Now, that's something we're going to talk about, is why would the abyss be above the earth? How can a bottomless pit be above the earth? There's a very clear reason why it can. And we'll go over that. But I want to just show you in Enoch chapter 21, 2 chapters later, Enoch sees this place again and describes it again, much the same. Verse 3 in chapter 21, and there I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together in it, like great mountains burning with fire. For what sin are they bound? And on what account have they been cast in hither? Uriel said, one of the holy angels who was with me and was chief over them said, these are the number of the stars of heaven which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord and are bound here till 10,000 years. The time entailed by their sins are consummated. The last verse in the chapter 21 says, this place is the prison of the angels, and here they will be imprisoned forever. So this is a prison for the angels, both Genesis 6 angels and the planets. It's a place of darkness, under chains. Let me read 2 Peter 2, verse 4. It says, for if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment. So, that's, again, the Genesis 6 angels. And there's another verse in Jude that gives us that information again too. I think it's verse 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness, unto the judgment of the great day. So, this place is a lot of things. Now, Isaiah, okay, because down here, if we could follow this great deep here, this goes around the whole earth. So this is well, just pretend that the earth's like that. But underneath the earth is Sheol, or hell. But I gotta make the point that when he made the firmament, he divided the waters from the waters. So he made the place for the air and the earth to be. But the waters still surround the whole earth. This darkness surrounds the whole earth, and it's connected. So these waters are connected with the firmament. And in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 9, Isaiah 14, verse 9 says something very interesting. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. At God's coming. At the return of Jesus. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So that's an interesting verse. I believe these waters are connected, and in the time of the end, Sheol and the evil spirits in Sheol become excited because they are anticipating the return of the Son of God. And they get excited and they come up here and they wait to devour the woman's child. The dragon's up here, waiting to devour. Okay. So how in the world, let me make sure this is still recording. Okay, good. How in the world could this be a bottomless pit? How could the firmament be a bottomless pit? Let me erase all of this. In the one that I just drew, that I just erased, the earth was stationary. And what we had up here, the darkness, the firmament, prison, whatever you want to call it, it moves. It turns. There's a star in the center. And the stars all go around that star. And that's actually, I can find that in the Book of Enoch really quick. Enoch chapter 71, verse 5. And he translated my spirit into the heaven of heavens, and I saw there, as it were, a structure built of crystals, and between those crystals tongues of living fire. And my spirit saw the girdle which girt that house of fire, and on its four sides were streams full of living fire, and they girt that house. And round about were seraphim, cherubic, and opening, and these are they who slept not, and guard the throne of his glory. So it's the throne of his glory. And verse 8 says, and I saw angels who could not be counted, 1,000 thousands, and 10,000 times 10,000, encircling that house.
And behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was, as it were, of a trumpet talking with me, which said,
Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter.
And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was, to look upon, like a jasper, and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald, like a jasper, and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald, like a jasper, and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald.
So I'm pretty sure that that house is the North Star. Or because all the stars encircle that house. So why would I say that this would be
I think I'm going to work on those feet again another time. They're horrible. I really don't like it. But I'm not done because I still have to do his legs.
He moved from beneath
and other things.
to above the earth.
I
Does that
can't
make any
finish
sense?
it
Now, it didn't to me at first, but it
until
will to you
then,
in a
I
minute.
suppose.
Okay. So hell above the earth, which is actually darkness, and we struggle against the rulers of that darkness, of the darkness of this world. We've been talking about darkness for some time. So now we have to talk about the globe. We have to entertain the idea of a globe, because not that I believe that the globe is true, but there are things about the globe that we can understand, things about hell. So let's just start simply with a globe. Okay? So on a globe, it's spinning. If this was a globe, it would be spinning, right? Whatever, you get the idea. Launching rockets. On a globe, if you're launching a rocket, you're going to go up until you get out of the thicker atmosphere, then you're going to start going like this. That's what you're going to do. That's what rockets do. That when they launch, they go up, and then they go horizontal. And they go horizontal, parallel to the surface of the earth. So whether the earth was curving or not really makes no difference. The rocket's still going parallel to the surface of the earth once it gets up above the carbon line. So it's going this way. So I'm going to erase this and redraw it because I'm going to just draw the top. Okay, so let's just say that this is top there that I just drew. Okay, so you have the rocket, and it goes up, and then it goes like this. Now, I'm not trying to argue that there's a globe or curvature, because there's not, but in their minds, it's going like this, right? So, and basically, it's going to continually, anything they put up there is going to continually go around this fake sphere that doesn't exist, right? Well, in this model, they have to get orbital velocity sideways, and that's about 18,000 miles an hour. And so, basically, if you take something and you go up where there's no resistance or drag, there's no air, and you throw it at 18,000 miles an hour, it's just going to keep going. And what it's actually doing is it's going to stay parallel above the surface of the earth. Now, we can change this and do it over a flat earth. It's the same thing. But see, they're counting on their God in the center here, gravity, because it's all going towards the center of this sphere. So as this goes around, it's being pulled this way, but it'll never connect because it's going fast enough that it'll never connect. So that makes sense if you believe you're on a globe. That's what would make sense, okay? Now, I'm going to erase this in a minute. Because what's actually happening is, if you look at the astronauts on the space station, they're floating. They're in an environment where they're not feeling this downward gravity. But that's because they're moving at just the right speed to balance out the gravity, which means that they're in a essentially zero gravity environment. That's why they float on the space station. Well, what are they actually doing? They're continually free falling around the globe, and they'll never hit them. They'll never hit. Let me draw another image, or another way to look at it on the flat model. Okay, we have our firmament, let's say our darkness, where all the sun, moon, and stars are. And remember, if I could draw a big circle, the center point here would be that crystal house we just read about, or it would be the North Star. You could call it the North Pole. And this is turning at how fast? Orbital velocity. So this is turning at 18,000 miles. And now, of course, it's going to change it where you are, depending on, but I'm just being very general here. So this is turning about 18,000 miles per hour. So it's going this way. Okay? Very fast. So if we're down here on the Earth, and we launch a rocket up, if we go in here, there's no physics the way that they say there is. That's why they're in zero G environment, is because there's a lack of physics. They aren't in a place that is terrestrial like we are. The firmament is celestial, it's part of heaven. And so, as that firmament turns, they get inside of it, somehow, I don't know how. They get inside of it, and then their little space station, little beast, just sits and continually turns with the firmament. That's called the path of the angels. We look at that in chapter 18 of Enoch. There's the path of the angels. One more page. So the path of the angels, I'll read about it here. Okay, it says, okay, I saw, this is verse 4, I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all the stars to their setting. I saw the winds on the earth carrying the clouds. I saw the path of the angels. I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of heaven above. Okay, so clearly, what is a bottomless pit? A bottomless pit is hell, or it is the abyss of darkness, the bottomless pit. And if you throw something into a bottomless pit, it's never going to hit the bottom. Now, on their globe, their hell-bound globe, when they launch a rocket and they reach orbital velocity, they're in a bottomless pit. They're never going to hit the bottom. They're going to sit and free fall eternally, continuously, perpetually. Free falling forever into darkness. So there's that. Now remember, this firmament, there's more about it too. One more thing about the firmament that I want to mention is that it is called, remember, remember how it's a prison? The Ascension of Isaiah 7, chapter 7, it says that the firmament is Sheol, and Satan and his angels are fighting and at war there, and Samuel and his host. They're in the firmament. So that's a prison for evil spirits. Well, guess what it says in Revelation 18, verse 2? This is a mystery, you guys. This is a mystery. It says, I'll read verses 1 and 2. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven. Heaven's up here. Having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Babylon the Great is space. It's the darkness. It's the firmament. So there you go. Hope that makes some kind of sense.
process, but it's pretty fun. Like I said, everything that I've done in this Dreams has ended up broken anyway, so I was suggesting for people to buy it, but I don't think that it's really worth buying now that I got it. There is no real community that I have been invited to. I've tried to join any Facebook groups, and all they do is brag about, hey, I did this, and I don't know. I mean, it's just discouraging more than anything. Just like every other game, you got all your clicks. Everybody, you know, I don't know. I'm just irritated with that stupid clicky stuff, you know, like the only people that are going to get any help or listened to in this community are the ones that are the favorites, not people that want to learn, or I don't know, it's just me. I've tried to reach out to people here, and it seems very clicky. Just leave it at that. Just like every other game, you know, you get your the game developers that have their favorites, and those are the only ones that they'll promote. You know, the ones that have been with them, I guess, since the beginning, which is cool. You know, whatever. I don't even know how to get back to all the resources. Kind of lost cause with that. Can't break through that clique mentality. They got the high school mentality going, like, well, we're the jocks, or we're the nerds, or we're the, you know, this clique, and we're that clique. Anyway, I'm just trying to make some feet work somehow. No reason, because even if I do this, then no one, I don't know. Not like they have much going on for, they have contests all the time, but you have tons and tons of people that are way better at it, that there's no chance for you to get when you have 10,000 people that are friends, or, you know, that they, I don't know. I'm just trying to concentrate on this foot, which is turning out horrible. My monster. I mean, the legs does make the feet look a little better. I still have some blue to get rid of. I don't know. My sad guy. He's so sad. Oh, he's so sad. He's such a sad guy. I mean, Peter, kind of like I wanted, so he stubbed his toes an awful lot, I'm sure. Maybe that's why he's not happy. He's tripping over his own feet. I think I'm done working on that guy, though. I just woke up and wanted to work on his feet. Honestly, don't know if you can hear me. Maybe I can check here. It might be a little echoey while I check. Echoey. Testing. I guess you can hear me, even though no one's there. Same with all the other clicky. Okay, anyway. I'm sitting here complaining all the time. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I mean, I want to build stuff, but it's like I make an area and it just ends up broken. Tried to do the ship, it ended up broken. I tried to do that over and over, it ended up broken. I tried to do this, and it ended up broken. Oh yeah, it's just discouraging, like I said. I mean, maybe if I had some kind of, I mean, the community is what's bothering me. You gotta type by keyboard and stuff. I mean, by mouse. It's hard to plug that in over there. Come on. Okay. Anyway, broken dreams. Broken dreams. And that's the truth right there. That is the truth. Freaking broken dreams. Come on, where's my mouse? That is the truth. Broken dreams. Broken dreams. Broken dreams. I'm looking for something else to have in the background. But I can't even find my subscriptions in YouTube anymore. They buried all my guys that I normally watch. I mean, they've literally taken and gutted such a, what do you call it, a nanny state now. It's like they got all these major cliques. You got this big clique of people over here and this big clique of people over here, and then, you know, the people that don't want to be in cliques, they're gonna pretty much, I don't know, exercise, what do you call it? Excommunicate people? Okay. Let's just check this one out while I'm rolling a doobie. Hopefully it don't get copyright strikes for having music on. I'm not even trying to be too dramatic about it. Okay. Doobie doobie. Come on. Sorry. Broken dreams. All we got is broken dreams. Failed promises.
I eat whoever I want, and I only eat the foods that deserve it. This one was a real... Ready to take your life to a whole new level of wow? The Santa Clarita Diet.
When Drew Barrymore announced she'd be starring in the new Netflix family sitcom, The Santa Clarita Diet, viewer discretion is advised. It sounded more or less like a standard sitcom. However, the actress revealed a big and surprisingly dark twist for this one. Her character dies in the first episode, comes back to life, and needs lots of protein to keep her mind clear and sane enough from eating her family. Barrymore adds, though, that the show's mood is still cheery, telling USA Today, "I don't want to watch a show about a couple fighting and falling apart. I can't handle it right now. It's not heavy, but it's not lacking in a sort of sweetness, if you will."
You know, as you watch this trailer, which you just saw, and even in the clip afterward that gives a little synopsis of this show, you definitely heard right. This is being passed off as a family comedy, where this woman who was played by Drew Barrymore is basically a zombie. She dies in the first episode, and she is resurrected and is able to live by eating the human body parts of other people. And to me, I believe, in my humble opinion, we are clearly being shown blatantly Bale's bloodlust, the plan of the devil, the Illuminati, the Luciferians, what they do. We are seeing the complete breakdown of society in North American culture and possibly all over the world, as America is leading the way in these kinds of things. And I have to say that it really saddens me, but it also shows what is happening all over this world and the signs of the times, as Yeshua said in Matthew 16, verses 1 to 4, that if we can discern the weather, but we cannot discern the signs of the times and see what is going on around us and how fast he is coming, then we are absolute hypocrites. And, you know, as we look at this show, I believe this is being shown in real life as well, which we will get to. But Sheila and Joel, a married couple, are real estate agents in Santa Clarita, California. When Sheila dies, their lives take a dark turn. And, you know, like I said before, basically Sheila dies in the first episode. She comes back basically as a zombie, and the way for her to stay alive is to eat the body parts of other human beings. And, of course, they're passing this off as a big joke. She's got even the blood dripping from her face, and really they're making the all-out breakdown of society into a big joke. This is how these people are behaving, and I believe the Illuminati and the Luciferians are just literally laughing in our faces because they know what is coming. And, you know, they even have a website for this TV show, and, you know, right away you can see the New World Order colors right there, the red, black, and white right in your face. And, you know, just like, you know, we see in the Nazi flag, the same kind of colors right there. So is there any coincidence for that? I really don't think so. But, you know, as we see on this website itself, make your next diet your last. And they're going on about how, you know, doing this diet is just great. It's, you know, obviously, you know, scoop on Jenny Craig, I guess, but, you know, they go talking about finding out the secret that, you know, you love the new you and how all this stuff works, and how constantly showing the red and the blood and different body parts in the drink that she has, talking about her success story and the testimonials and, you know, all these kinds of things. And then there's even a picture that says, "I'm beginning to think that this is my new signature color. Blood red is all the rage this season." So just completely showing the bloodlust here, just going on about, you know, literally paganism and blood sacrifice, and what nothing tastes as good as being healthy, healed. So, I mean, I just, I'm appalled at what we are seeing here, at what we are being shown. They're making all-out Satanism and these practices, human sacrifice, eating humans, cannibalism. They're making this out to be a big joke and thinking that it's great. I believe this is going to be a big practice in the New World Order when it comes. And, I've shown this article before, but this is really all part of Baal worship, part of the fertility cults of Cain and, the things that Yahweh specifically told his people Israel not to do. This is all part of Baal worship, and if you look at their practices, it says that the Canaanites would sacrifice animals, but also if they really wanted to get something right or get something from Baal, they would even sacrifice their own children. See, because Baal, at times of crisis, Baal's followers sacrifice their children, preparing the firstborn of the community to gain personal prosperity. The Bible calls this practice detestable. Okay, so this is totally against the laws of God. And even though people like to make it seem like, oh, your God is a bloodthirsty God and stuff like that, it's really not true. He did not require human sacrifice. Thou shalt not do unto the Lord thy God for every abomination the Lord which he hated, that they done unto their gods, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire unto their gods. So God forbids human sacrifice, but the critics have a handful of instances where they think God had the people violate this one. So they try to come up with all kinds of stories, and I'll leave these things. They love to use the whole sacrifice of Isaac, but God's intent never was that Abraham complete the sacrifice. This is partly contradictory because God saved them. He sent his angel to stop Abraham and rejects the test. Okay, so totally the Lord is not for human sacrifice, and that's what people love to say, that that he was for human sacrifice, and all of these things, talking about Baal worship, talking about all this, bloodlust and human sacrifice.
Copy.
Our city is counting on you to collect those children's screams. Without screams, we have no power. Give us a big loud roar. Mr. Waterloo, sir. No time for that. That's what I'm waiting for. Roar. Sir. Roar. Times have changed. Scaring isn't enough anymore. But kidnapping children? I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die. I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I
This is the adrenochrome molecule. And this is a soccer ball. This is the adrenochrome molecule in Monsters, Inc. Now, oxidized adrenochrome is epinephrine, produced by the adrenal glands when a person experiences fear. The same kind of fear in Monsters, Inc., in which monsters scare little children by going through doors at night when the child is asleep and scaring the child. And in turn, it yields the substance. And I believe the substance they are depicting is, in fact, adrenochrome. And I believe demons feed off this fear. You know, the adrenochrome comes from the adrenal glands, which sit atop the kidneys. Kids. And this is repeated over and over again in Monsters, Inc. The kids. And studies show that the pineal gland is directly affected by the release of epinephrine from the adrenal glands. And the pineal gland is affected by adrenaline / adrenochrome by the adrenal glands. And isn't it weird that the hormone epinephrine contains the word pine, like the pineal gland? Now, we also see fruit mentioned over and over again, shown in the film Monsters, Inc.
I hear somebody's close to breaking the all-time scare record. Trying to make sure there's enough screen to go around. Hey, out of house! Hey, thanks! Bada bing!
And we know that children to pedophiles represent fine art. We also know that they store children underground.
Oh, great.
So now the truth emerges. These vampires are feeding off of our fear. And part of that fear is subliminal disclosure, which is everything that we are experiencing and realizing right now with decodes like this. That they have subliminally been traumatizing us through the memory of past events and triggering all those survivors through these films. In fact, in Monsters, Inc., work starts on the eastern seaboard with the hands of the clock on the 9 and the 11. Now we know about the event of Blind 11, which is what I have to call it. And I'm just in shock that people aren't putting that together. People are asking, what does Blind 11 mean? And it's because we're so asleep. This film had completed months and months before the event would happen, even though it released a few months after the event. And I want you to notice the scare attack that they have in this film, Monsters, Inc., includes South America, Chile, to be specific. Well, something very interesting happened on Blind 11, the event, in 1973 in Chile. Now, 1973 was the year that the World Trade Center opened, which is, I have to use coded language again because we can't say that on YouTube anymore. And in the year of 1973, when it opened, there was a regime change on Blind 11 in Chile, in which the CIA overturned the government there. Oh, but there's more. Why are there 2 pizza boxes in the bedroom while the little girl is sleeping in his bed?
scary.
Following me, going through my things, shooting words into my head. All of them the judge, the DA, my mom.
These tissues can go to pathology. These tissues can go to pathology.
My dad, everyone, everybody. Once they deem you a danger to yourself, it's basically a free-for-all.
Lungs, 1,100 grams. Kidneys, 780, 620. Targeted individuals. Kidneys. Adrenal glands. What you're looking at here is shots from the film Coma.
We're getting $75,000. Yeah, it was a bad match on tissue type. Well, the kidneys are poor tissue type. It's in perfect condition. It's 200 grand for that. It's going to Texas. Good old George has the connection. So far, George is doing fine. What about the other kids? They're putting it up a bit. They'll get on 100.
This is all about organ harvesting, as these people are basically put into a coma on a purpose using carbon dioxide gas while they're under anesthesia, and then they're sent to this facility where their organs are harvested. This is what this becomes all about for these people, and this is big money. You think this is only going on in foreign countries?
2 hours old, ready to shoot. It's a 4367, a 31-year-old male. Bidding now stands at $42,500.
Tell Jerry Caesar he's out of practice.
But there's one thing that never changes. The face of crime. It just gets bigger and badder and uglier every day.
Frank Quick, for the Goat Farm. Move to Ukiah. Every man has a dream to chase. Frank's with that Goat Farm.
Captain Gannon had assigned me to investigate the so-called pagan robberies. A pattern of serial crimes which had occurred throughout the city.
Howdy, my name was and I'm a pagan. Good evening, pagan. Don't forget to go fighting.
I'd say this is shaping up to be a little more than just a series of simple robberies. People against goodness and normalcy. You have to admire their techniques in crowd control.
Tonight, a pristine virgin in a gown of white.
Yeah. Cozy little group, eh? Just like your local Rosarians. An illegal drug lab grotesquely disguised as a legitimate place of business.
He's as pure as he can be, white and clean as river snow.
Up a little late tonight, aren't we, kids?
Up a little late tonight, aren't we, kids?
And on a school night, too.
Moloch, milk, pure and white. Milk has always represented the missing children. In dairy farms, the calf is removed from the mother. It goes missing. We know that the root word of Molech is MLK, milk. And we know that milk is linked back to human sacrifice. Here is the movie Dragnet. with all of the facts hiding in plain sight.
Still going out in history, mister? Pagan, or reverend, devil, or angel? Why both? Of course. One can't exist without the other. Without the Jerry Caesars, there'd be no moral outrage. One can't exist without the other.
One can't exist without the other.
Without the Jerry Caesars, there'd be no moral outrage. And what's the good of moral outrage unless you have something tangible to direct it against?
And there they just outlined exactly the Hegelian dialectic. Create both sides of the argument and have the people warring against one another. This was the entire theme behind Blind 11. And here we see 14 years exactly before the event would happen in 1987. Dragnet released. N is the 14th letter of the alphabet. 8 plus 3 is 11. There's your 611, and TC stands for Trade Center.
I'll control both sides of the equation.
As your attorney, I advise you to take a hit out of the little brown bottle in my shaving kit. You won't need much. Just a tiny taste. What is this shit? That stuff? It's pure mescaline, seem like. Ginger beer, man. Adrenochrome. Adrenochrome? Hi, Lucy. God bless. Yeah, it's me. What? Hell no. I took the bastard medicine. I'll never forget. What? No, not dead. Yeah, that's one there. I remember thinking, Jesus, what a terrible thing to lay on somebody with a head full of acid. But we have a problem. That bastard cashed a bad check downstairs and gave you his reference. Look, the both of you. Some people are just basically nuts. Trace the gold to the street.
Guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube. So over the last few months, I've noticed a few stories coming out that seem to be normalizing the idea of humans essentially feeding off of other humans. And this comes to us in many forms. We always have lived in a very cannibalistic culture. But over the last few years, this is really intensifying. We're seeing degrading and debaucherous behaviors becoming normalized. What you're looking at is called a Sephiroth map. This follows the evolution of an occult belief system that relishes in human sacrifice and war, and it uses banking as a tool for global domination. So before we explore this map a little bit more, I want to show you a clip to kind of put into perspective what I'm talking about. Check this out.
On the Health Watch, could the secret to eternal youth be found in blood transfusions from young people? Health reporter Stephanie Stahl has more on a controversial new treatment that's being tested.
Transfusions with young blood from teenagers, some claim it can reverse the aging process. It's being tested in patients over the age of 35 as part of a clinical trial called Ambrosia, where people pay $8,000 to get the rich growth factors found in blood plasma platelets.
Pretty much people from most states, people from overseas, from Europe and Australia.
Results of the trial have not been published, but Dr. Jesse Karsman, who plans to open a business selling young blood, says patients who've had it say they feel amazing. And he says he's seen evidence of reversing the aging process in rats.
The brains are younger hearts, their hair, if it was gray, it turns dark again.
There's also been encouraging Alzheimer's research using young blood at Stanford.
We found that it was safe and feasible to administer infusions of young plasma weekly.
Dr. Sharon Shaw is a researcher who says they've seen evidence of improvement in functional ability.
It's all very exciting that there can be components in blood that can be healing.
Platelet-rich plasma, or PRP treatments using a patient's own blood have been in demand as trendy vampire facials to fight wrinkles, and as joint and tissue treatments to accelerate healing, and it's been tested to regrow hair.
You can actually use your own blood to stimulate the body.
The study hasn't concluded, but seeing enough short-term results, the researcher is optimistic.
It looks very positive.
But experts agree there is still more research that needs to be done.
There's still a lot of unknown and a lot of factors that we don't know when we actually get in another person's growth factors that you should inject it or not.
While blood transfusions are considered safe for people who need them, side effects can include hives, lung injury, or potentially deadly infections. Stephanie Stahl, 3 Eyewitness News.
So as you can see, we're living in a cannibalistic culture, and as I was saying, this is manifesting more and more. It's becoming normalized now. And ever since biblical times, we've been told about the power of the blood. So here we are looking at a Sephiroth map. It's not an interpretation of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, but it is designed to represent the key ideas contained within the Tree of Life. It's no mistake either, because this is connected to ancient Hebrew mysticism, Jewish mysticism. If we scroll down here, we get a better look here, and see how all this works together. We'll start off right here at the top. The supreme deity of this cult goes by many names: Baal, Moloch, Lucifer. One could argue that there are technically two factions among these occultists, the Satanists and the Luciferians. But once the flesh starts flying, only a psychopath would appreciate this subtle difference. The constant theme through this deity's many incarnations is its insatiable appetite and demand for blood sacrifice. Animals and humans alike serve as offerings to Baal, but the highest form of offering is that of a child. Ritualistic cannibalism is the holy grail of these dark zealots. All elite secret societies are interlinked, as shown on this map, even though they may at times throughout history have been at odds and even at war with one another. It's been a cutthroat power struggle, fought tooth and nail between these groups. Cannibals seem to have a propensity for cannibalizing each other, along with their innocent victims, yet somehow, despite their malicious infighting, they manage to be significantly more organized and far more deadly than any general peace-loving population. Whenever a certain society's reputation becomes too tarnished and the populace starts waking up en masse to the depths of their accustomed depravity, they simply go underground for a period of time only to re-emerge with a new name or a new face. Freemasons consider themselves to be heirs of the Templars, who were burnt on stakes in 1307 amongst accusations of Baphomet worship. The Illuminati was founded by a Jesuit professor of canon law, shortly after the Jesuit suppression, the result of a long run of papal assassinations and sedition conspiracies against the European monarchies. The core values of these secret societies are elitism and deception. Even the majority of the members are kept in the dark as to the secrets of the highest order. As Albert Pike revealed, Lucifer is God to these people, but only advanced degree Masons are told who the deity of their fraternity truly is. Good men caught up in these organizations, of which there are many in all cases, will find themselves aligned to lower tiers of the hierarchy, while evil will be encouraged to gravitate towards the top. If all three Abrahamic religions have been pagan at their core since their very beginning, who is the majority of the world's population really worshiping? Who are we feeding our energy to? Humanity has been treacherously betrayed by its leaders of both church and state for centuries, but the extent of their crimes is yet to be fully assimilated. So this is the power structure that humanity is up against. The force behind the cult of evil is evidently anti-humanity, and likely non-human itself. Psychopathy derives from the reptilian brain. Satan, Pindar, Lord Akram are all names that refer to a leader who remains hidden behind a veil. And we see evidence of this cannibalistic culture all around us in a lot of different and interesting and unique ways, sometimes very straightforward. This story just happened a few months ago. Buenos Aires culture minister eats, quote, body of Christ cake with stigmata prostate. Another example, you may have heard about this one, a police investigating cannibal chef art performance in Latvia. The show explored what would happen to humanity if global food stocks ran out, suggesting that people will resort to cannibalism or face extinction. So he actually had assistants that signed up for this performance. He cut chunks of meat from each of their backs without any anesthesia, and he fried it in a large black pan, then forcing each one of the assistants to stand by, dropping the fried flesh right into their mouths. Here's another example of that programming from a few years back. James Tomlinson, British chef, to offer human flesh-tasting hamburgers. So this story is just from a few months ago, and it's all about a new trend. This is actually becoming a trend called self-cannibalizing. Check this out. Sausage made from human blood and tacos filled with a man's chopped off foot. The people who want to eat each other and themselves. Some people eaters are even getting their sexual kicks from meeting and eating others on dating-style cannibal sites. So here's another story. I found this on Drudge, again, just a few months ago. You gotta ask yourself, who would want to partake in something like this? Diners offer 2-course meals topped off by dissection of a human corpse. So people stuff their faces with a 2-course meal before cutting open a very realistic model of the human body. Now truly, who in their right mind would want to partake in something like this? This is why I'm telling you that cannibalistic culture is manifesting before our very eyes. So we're living in a time of fake news. And news has been fake for a really long time. It's obviously gotten a lot worse. We're seeing dinosaur media fall apart, right? We are the new media. The people are the new media. The mainstream media has always been an incredibly powerful propaganda tool. So it should come as no surprise that we find CNN pushing this propaganda. CNN host eats human brain. This CNN host actually ate parts of a human brain on his new show called Believer when he was hanging out with some cannibals in India known as the Agoras. So here on my channel we talk a lot about predictive programming. Of course we saw that clip at the beginning of this video about how that company is capitalizing on the power of blood. So here's a story that came out just back in September of this year, just a few months ago. Young blood, an elixir that prevents age-related diseases, study reveals. Blood factors obtained from young beings can improve late-life health in animals and put an end to age-related diseases. Now, this is just one example of that predictive program, of us being imprinted with this idea. Now, just a few months later after this story, we find this company that's out there, and they're promoting heavily the idea of blood transfusions, taking young blood and putting it into yourself. We also have stories like this. Real-life vampires exist, and researchers are studying them.
It is called the vampire facial ulcer. Kim Kardashian made it famous on her reality show. What would you do?
Tonight, a
completely reminded me of what we're seeing today with this Mariana Abramovich and her spirit cooking. She's basically been described, as the grandmother of performance art. Basically, it says her art focuses on confronting pain and blood and the physical limits of the body. And what I find quite interesting is there's a picture of her with a good old black, white, and red, outfit, New World Order colors, Nazi colors, and of course, what does she have there? A major Jesuit symbol right on her So really, this is what she is. She's nothing more than another Luciferian. Very disturbing images that you're about to see here. So please do not show children this video. And I apologize for the disturbing nature of the content of this video, because really this is where the world is going. And this character, Mariana Abramovich, is known for this spirit cooking. She's even come up in this whole Pizzagate thing. And, basically what is spirit cooking? Who is Mariana Abramovich?
Nice. My guy ended up in town.
And,
that's funny.
Quite a stir going on.
Oh, that is really funny.
In the center of it. See, Abramovich is a performance artist known for her gory performances.
What are you doing, man? Just moved in?
Okay, so then
Where are you?
apparently she's connected to this whole Pizzagate scandal, and with the whole spirit cooking, and John and Tony Podesta, she apparently invited Podesta over to her place for this whole spirit cooking nonsense. But even like these disturbing images, like with a sharp knife cut deeply into the middle finger of your left hand, keep the pain. All this kind of nonsense that they talk about, and it says that spirit cooking is an event. And central ritual started by Abramovich some years ago. So this is basically going on for a long time, and she claims it to be a central element of her artistic expression. The origin of spirit cooking can be found in the preludes to productions of The Cake of Lights and all this kind of nonsense that she goes on about, this kind of stuff. She says that it was just a normal dinner. She actually denies any links to the occult and Satanism, and I find that very hard to believe when you see images like this, that she is, not an occultist or a Satanist. She just says it was a normal dinner. It was actually just a normal menu, which I call spirit cooking. There was no blood, no anything else. We just called it funny things. That's all. So, this is what this person wants to say. We know that, people of Satan will be like him, because he is the father of lying. Of course, they're going to lie as well. Of course, we see, many people are getting into many celebrities. There's a picture of Pamela Anderson right there at one of Marina Abramovich's recent spirit cooking dinners. So, there she is over there, and you'll see all kinds of, images that we're going to see here that are quite disturbing. Even Will Ferrell was also there. I believe even Jason A did a video recently showing these people, many Hollywood stars that are into this. Here's another one with good old Lady Gaga there, joining in on this whole spirit cooking. We'll see her even up here actually moving, tasting this thing. Now I'm assuming that it's not real blood. It's just being made to look like human sacrifices, or she's got a good arch of Baal there in the background as well. So really, this is all Baal worship, if you ask me. And Lady Gaga and many of these celebrities are into this all-out pagan practice, worship of Baal. This is what they are doing. Here's an article from the New Nationalist showing the Hollywood degenerates attending this spirit cooking gala. You're going to see all kinds of images there. They even had the heads of people, live performing artists. Their heads were above the table and their bodies were underneath the table. There's more pictures there. So this is the thing is that people in Hollywood are doing. Even though they're not actually eating human beings, but they're being made to look like mutilated humans. And this is really what society is coming, or at least what they are pushing in this in this time. And again, there's little some more pictures of what's being shown here. And I hate to say this, but it seems like the world has just gone mad. You can see again more disturbing images, more disturbing visuals as to what was taking place at this, at these galas. And again, these are not real humans right now. They're, food items, so they're making their body parts into different food items, and basically making it look like mutilated bodies. So basically, this is like, basically simulated cannibalism. Okay, so really, this is what is going on. Why, if they were normal human beings, that, had actually a love for their fellow human beings, why would they want to simulate cannibalism? It just doesn't make any sense. And even the author of this article says that some thought I was exaggerating about the return of paganism, the creation of neo-paganistic rites, and mainstreaming of satanic practices. Lo, I was not. The horrific simulated cannibalism video described below will be proof enough of the depth of the rock. Okay, so basically, as you keep going, if you look in these articles, you will see that this man is really showing how messed up this woman is. That again, she claims to be, an artist and that she has no ties with the occult, but that is really not the case. Here he even brings up an example that making use of 20 knives and 2 tape recorders, the artist played the Russian game in which rhythmic knife jabs are aimed between the straight fingers of one's hand. Each time she cuts herself, she would pick up a new knife from the row of 20 she had set up and record the operation. After cutting herself 20 times, she would play the tape, listen to the sounds, and try to repeat the same movements, attempting to replicate the mistakes, merging past and present. Once you enter into the performance state, you can push your body to do things you absolutely could never normally do. Okay, so this is the kind of crazy things that she does, and even like the different ingredients that she uses, objects of pleasure, while obviously reveals the pain of the armor. Among them were a rose, a feather, honey, a whip, olive oil, scissors, a scalpel, a gun, and a single bullet. So basically, for 6 hours, the artist allowed the audience members to manipulate her body and action. Okay, there were cuts on her neck made by audience members, and her clothes were cut off her body. So, this is, reminding me of even the prophets of Baal, back when Elijah and the prophets had a showdown, and the prophets of Baal started cutting themselves because they wanted Baal to answer by sending the fire to burn the sacrifice. This is all out Baal worship, if you ask me. This is totally pagan in its nature. This Mariana Abramovich is definitely a pagan, a devil, Luciferian worshiper. She worships Baal, so for her to say that she has no occult ties is absolutely lying, and this is really what is going on here. And the same kind of thing, we see at the beginning of Grove, human sacrifice. I believe they sacrifice children, and who knows what else that they do there, but this is major pagan worship that is going on, and I believe we are seeing just the all-out degradation of society in North America, and most likely the entire world is following after these same practices, because I believe the Antichrist is coming very soon, and I'm sure in the tribulation we're going to see a lot of this thing going on. It also reminds me of what took place in Numbers 13 and the mystery of the giants, what the people, the 10 spies saw when they went to spy out the land of Jericho. And of course, as we look at the account, it says that the spies came back and said that the people who dwell there are strong, the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there, the Amalekites, and all these other people that it lists. And so even though Caleb and Joshua said that we could do it, but the rest of the spies said that the land devours its inhabitants. Okay, it's very interesting. It talks about devouring its inhabitants, because seemingly this is the same thing that is being portrayed by Mariana Abramovich, and they want to devour people. They are constantly doing this cannibalism or simulated cannibalism. So same kind of practices that the giants did. They devour the people, and of course the Israelites saw these giants. That is what they did. They consumed human beings. Okay, and no wonder it's why God wanted these people destroyed. And what I also find interesting is these Amalekites, which is shown here. They're also the descendants of Anak, the descendants of the Anakim, which again the giants. But the Amalekites were also a people that the Lord wanted completely destroyed, as in 1 Samuel 15. Thus says the Lord of hosts, I will punish Amalek for what he did to Israel, how he set up himself against him on the way while he was coming from Egypt. Now go and strike Amalek and utterly destroy all that he has, and do not spare him, but put to death both man and women, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. And of course Saul failed to do that. And normally people like to wonder, why would God want to destroy people? That's not really, doesn't sound really gracious and compassionate, but when you think about it, the people that God would want to utterly destroy most likely were always the tribes of the Nephilim and the fallen angels. Normal, actual, true human beings, God would never do that. He would have mercy on them. But the people that he wanted to completely destroy and wipe out were always the giants, the Nephilim, the descendants of the fallen angels. Okay, so that's what's going on, because God does not want those people. They were illegal creations. They were not supposed to be there, and so God always wanted those people destroyed. And there's been I've heard some interesting stories that the Amalekites happened to be, or could have been, a clan of even bloodsuckers. And this is from a Jewish midrash. I'm not really positive or very sure about this particular source, but I will leave the link for it so that you can look at it yourself. But according to this Jewish midrash, it says that the name Amalek is formed by the two words An and Lak, which literally means people that lick. Says the midrash, the name is apt, for they are a nation who wants to lick the blood of Israel. You know, it's interesting through the ages that Amalek always accuses the Jews of being bloodsuckers. The blood is the link between the body and the nefesh, the life force of the body, as the Torah tells us when it prohibits the consumption of blood, because blood is the life force. And Amalek wants to sever that connection between the body and the soul. Okay, so between this world and the next. So this is what, you know, these people are. They could possibly be, I would say they are Nephilim, because if God wanted them completely destroyed, then that's possibly, you know, the legends of bloodsuckers and vampires could possibly come from these same people. Now, I'm not claiming that's entirely true. I don't know for a fact or know for sure whether the whole vampire myth and legend comes from the Amalekites, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. And of course, the Amalekites can be shown as a tribe of Esau, that they are, according to this, Amalek is the son of Esau's firstborn son, Eliphaz. All right, so basically he is a grandson of Esau, and so, you know, some people claim that the Amalekites could have been, you know, a clan of bloodsuckers if Esau had corrupted himself and, you know, took a wife that was corrupted, then possibly the Amalekites were a tribe of the Nephilim, or corrupted themselves, and God wanted them completely destroyed. And, you know, what I also find interesting is that apparently there are reasons to believe, or evidence to suggest, that even the European royals are from Edom, from Esau. And so, you know, that's quite fascinating in and of itself. I will leave this article for you to check out for yourself. It is fairly lengthy, so please do check it out. But possibly the European royals are also descendants of Esau. And what I find quite fascinating is that Prince Charles himself actually has been quoted as saying, now I couldn't find any articles on the internet to verify that, but I have heard it myself in interviews. Even my wife has heard it, that Prince Charles actually claims that he is from the Amalekites. Now, I find that quite fascinating, because he is saying literally in plain sight where he is from. People who hear that talk most likely have no idea what he is talking about when he says he is from the Amalekites. But if that is true, if he has truly said that, then he is clearly giving us a sign there that he is showing where he is truly from, possibly from the Nephilim tribes of the Amalekites. And, you know, that is quite fascinating with all the, you know, conspiracies that surround the royal family. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if these people are just not true human beings. Again, I'm not saying that all, you know, absolutely, but, you know, there are, you know, many people doing research on the royal family, and many claim that these people are just not human. And of course, you've got Prince Charles wearing his Jesuit, you know, cross right there in your face, you know, so really, you know, there's no surprise there. Whether these people are human beings or not, if they're true human beings, we know that they are definitely Luciferians, and they worship the devil.
Prince Charles publicly admitted in 2011 that he's a descendant of the Prince of Wallachia, or Vlad Dracul, the Impaler of Transylvania, as we know him. He lived from 1431 till 1476, and his favorite hobbies were torture and impaling. Impaling means having implanted a stick up yours, coming out from the mouth and then set up in the ground vertically, being his interpretation of the crucifixion. Now look at the 8-pointed star on his forehead. That's octagon, right? Nobility. He did this to 100,000 people, mostly Saxons, and even the Ottoman Muslim army turned around and went back when they came to a forest of 20,000 impaled. From 1730 to 1801, we had the Russian nobility under the Tsar, with Darya Nikolaevna Saltykova, torturing and murdering at least 200 people. This is nobility, folks. They always did it, and they never stopped doing it. From 1560 to 1614, Countess Erzsébet Báthory of the Hungarian nobility, also called the Blood Countess, tortured and murdered 650 virgins of the sheeple, because she believed that bathing in a virgin's blood would keep her young forever. She and her fellow aristocrats even constructed an ingenious metal structure in which the victims could bleed to death, still being alive and sadistically tortured on the way. So this is the coat of arms of the royal Batory of the Blood Countess. Ex-President Sarkozy of France comes from the Hungarian aristocracy, being related to the Blood Countess, as the pharaonic part Tsar in his name means king in Demotic. And this is the Blood Castle, where she was imprisoned in 1610, only because the sheeple started an uprising after 650 of their virgins disappeared. So it took the sheeple 650 victims to act. How typical. The American sheeple even need more. 3,000 victims sacrificed at 9/11 for another liquid, and still counting. The Americans act big, martial and Spartanic at the shooting range with the best goodies you can imagine, waiting though to be hauled up for the slaughterhouse without ever having used their goodies. And watch here, we can see the airplane going through concrete and steel and coming out on the other side intact, as if nothing has happened. Oh, they made a big mistake here. Baron Judelet was an aristocratic French serial killer who lived from 1404 to 1414, who sodomized, tortured and murdered at least 600 boys and girls from the age of 6 to 18, together with his accomplices Poitou and Henriet. He used to laugh seeing his victims dying while he opened up their stomachs, admiring their intestines, a thing he was fascinated with. And look at this. This is his seal of his royal house of Duret, and here we can see the Templars cross just on the Swiss Army knife, the same. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because most cases are not known, because the sheeple and stupid white race couldn't even read or write to document it all. So, the two parasites in society were, and still are, the aristocracy and the ecclesiastical orders of the priests of Amun, who never worked and always lived of the blood of others, in some cases even literally. Over the years and centuries, these parasites grew fat, never hungered, having great parties with music and troubadour, and just reproducing like rabbits in between the parties. And all descendants wanted to be king or queen and have the castles. So wars broke out between them, which the sheeple had to fight out. Nice haircut. Oh, what a legs. And what a nice shoes. And once a king, he wanted to stay king forever, and then even handed over to his pedigree. So rivalry started, and after hundreds of years, wars between the kingdoms and second son aristocracy, as the Templars, etc., they finally came together and decided to elect a king by the stupid sheeple for 4 years only. And so democracy started. And due to the increasing revolts, revolutions and uprisings of hungry peasants, the parasites of the nobility decided to go underground in Freemason lodges, divided in 33 degrees, indicating in fact the degree of pharaonic genes of the noble bloodlines in their veins. That's why Bernhard the SS Prince of Darkness founded the Bilderberger, who stand, due to their pure pharaonic blood, even over the usual 33 degrees of pharaonic percentage. It's like a bottle of whiskey, like having 33 degrees of alcohol. They have 33 degrees of pharaonic genetics. And don't think that Kate Middleton, Cosima, and the girls of the so-called civil marriages with the nobility don't have a certain degree of pharaonic bloodline in their veins. They all have. There are just so many of them nowadays, hiding amongst us and all trying to get a key position with the authorities where they can parasite on humanity without working a single day. So the pharaohs never went away. They became the aristocracy and the nobility. And the nobility never lost power. They never really went away. They rule through their politicians and Freemason lodges. So it's still the pharaohs ruling. I've been telling you for years. All the politicians are descendants of the nobility and aristocracy of the Middle Ages who went into hiding modes and Freemason lodges. That's why they want more and more police, because there are more and more of them who want to be a knight and do nothing. They protect child molesters and could stop drugs and prostitution within 24 hours, but it is them as well, earning money with organized crime at the expense of our children.
As permanent master of these three lodges, I now call on my deputy masters.
Most worshipful Grand Master, on behalf of the Brethren of Royal Somerset House, Most worshipful Grand Master,
our ceremonies and forever remind us of our incomparable heritage and the birth of organized Freemasonry,
stressing the deep and sincere loyalty and affection felt by the Brethren of the United Grand Lodge of England for their Grand Master.
We leave the Royal Albert Hall even more proud of our ancient institution.
Most worshipful Grand Master, I humbly ask you to complete the initiation of this worthy candidate for Freemasonry.
I hereby read the text of a letter sent today to Buckingham Palace. May it please your Majesty, we, the representatives of over 200,000 Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, most respectfully express our continuing loyalty to your Majesty's throne and person in this, the 66th year of your long and distinguished reign, from His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, as our much-loved and greatly respected Grand Master. We humbly thank God for preserving our order and fervently pray His blessings on your Majesty, so that our loyal devotion to your Majesty may long continue. Given at the Royal Albert Hall this 31st day of October, Anno Domini 2017, Her Majesty has been pleased to reply in the following terms. The Queen has asked me to thank you for your kind letter of royal greetings on behalf of the representatives of the Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, which are being celebrated on the 31st of October at the Royal Albert Hall. Her Majesty appreciated your thoughtfulness in writing as you did.
I had the pleasure of meeting 136 Grand Masters visiting from overseas at Freemasons Hall yesterday. Today, though, we are a meeting of more than 4,000 gathered from all around the world, from our own constitution and beyond. When the global Masonic family comes together to celebrate our past and to renew our own pride and confidence in and enthusiasm for Freemasonry.
Deep in the forest of Belgium, just outside the little village of Uno, lies a dark castle. A place so forbidden, many locals refuse to even speak of it. Shrouded in secrecy and heavily guarded, it is rumored to be home to unspeakable horrors. Officially, its name is Chateau Amaroi, aka the Mothers of Darkness Castle. It has been accused of being the epicenter of the Illuminati underworld, hosting some of the elite's darkest rituals and high-level monarch programming. Join us as we unlock the secrets of Mothers of Darkness Castle and discover why it has earned the nickname the most evil place on Earth.
One investigator said it was like going back to the Middle Ages.
One of the Illuminati's top ritual castles.
And 1,000 points of light.
The elite love their secluded castles and stately homes far from the prying eyes of the public, where they can engage in perverse and strange practices for the worship of their ancient gods. In Belgium lies just such a castle, the menacing Chateau Amaroi. It has been named by researchers as one of the main ritual centers of the Illuminati, but researching it proves difficult. Little information about this castle is available, and the owners appear to be doing everything they can to keep it that way. Almost no pictures of the interior exist online. Even the BBC and National Geographic have allegedly been denied access. The castle's wooded perimeter is heavily guarded, with cameras, electric fences, tripwires, and more. The castle was originally built for Prince Philip of the notorious Saxe-Coburg-Gotha royal bloodline, the same family as the British royals, who are descended from Vlad the Impaler, the original Dracula. Today, it is owned by an elite family of Belgian industrialists called the Solvay's. The Solvay's are one of the wealthiest families in Belgium. They own large pharmaceutical and chemical companies responsible for the notorious drug Prozac and the industrial-scale production of fluoride and fluoride products that get added to the water we drink. Although officially named Chateau Amaroi, the castle is better known as the Mothers of Darkness Castle, due to it being the alleged meeting place of a special rank of Illuminati witches known as Mothers of Darkness. Mothers of Darkness are high-adept witches who come from old satanic families. The macabre rituals they perform will make your blood run cold. The candidates for the Mothers of Darkness are subjected to ritual abuse from childhood, resulting in a dissociative mind that is easy to program. Most high-level Illuminati witches have some dissociated identities, known as multiple personalities. Mothers of Darkness are programmed and initiated within the mysterious Chateau Amaroi.
Mothers of Darkness seem to be like deep satanic priestesses that have also been raised daughters and or granddaughters and have been over many of the women involved. So they are deeply well known in the underground of satanic ritual abuse and multiple personality disorders.
But these elite witches aren't the only reason the castle maintains such strict privacy. The site is also said to be home to the Belgian elite's satanic Eyes Wide Shut parties, which involve children and are usually filmed for blackmail. This was all revealed during the infamous Dutroux scandal that nearly caused a revolution in Belgium. It saw the resignation of top officials. It all began in the early 90s, when children started going missing in alarming numbers. It took Belgian authorities 4 years to arrest a man named Marc Dutroux, despite numerous credible tip-offs that he was kidnapping and holding girls prisoner, including one from his own mother. Dutroux was procuring these children for the Belgian political elite and aristocracy to use as party favors for their blackmail operations. After the scandal broke, one Belgian senator noted that such parties were part of a system which operates to this day and is used to blackmail highly placed people. The same system of blackmail operates all over the Western world and is one of the Illuminati's primary means of control. The Dutroux witness files are replete with stories of such parties taking place in castles, and one specifically named the Chateau
Progress caught a senior director for the abortion giant casually discussing the sale of aborted baby parts and how to provide them. Planned Parenthood was in damage control, calling the video a product of distorted editing, saying they're merely reimbursed for organs they provide. They attacked the group behind the video instead.
Their mission is to ban abortion completely and to cut women off from care at Planned Parenthood and other health centers. And we will never let that happen.
But the scandal was just getting started. Another video came out just as damning, with another high-ranking Planned Parenthood official negotiating the prices of baby parts for top dollar. Again, backlash was enormous, but the media still underreported it. It wasn't going to go away, though. The group putting out the video assured everyone it had plenty more, about a dozen total. Last week, more videos shocked the world. One showed an employee of a major buyer of fetal tissue, horrified at what's done behind closed doors.
I remember grabbing the leg, and I said, this is a leg, and I blacked out.
In yet another video, a doctor is shown telling her undercover buyers Planned Parenthood's attorney has legal tricks to make sure they won't get caught.
Neither do we.
No one wants to get right. So how do we protect ourselves from that? If we feel confident in building I'm
She even admits of times when the babies are delivered before doctors have aborted it.
sometimes, if someone delivers before we are able to see them for procedures when they are in fact. But you'll never know. We go for it. Yeah, for that.
Protesters are demanding the government cut its funding for Planned Parenthood. But whether or not that happens, the damage is already done, as more and more people come to realize the true horror of what abortion really is.
I think so hard. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so hard. I get in on it. My fingers will smush it if I try to. The heart is right there.
Heart over there.
For churchmilitant.com, I'm Ryan Fitzgerald.
The idea is to draw your blood, separate the protein-rich plasma, then re-inject it in the areas that need pulsing, making them look rejuvenated. That's gross. We are originally from Romania, but it's very famous for being full of place. So, yeah, we don't like it. Women are desperate. We'll do anything to look young. Dr. Ramia Prasad, a cosmetic surgeon on the Upper East Side, explains the procedure.
Here's another example. Again, this all shows an uptick of the stories about, quote, vampires, or real-life vampires. Wealthy vampires emerge from graves in medieval Polish cemetery. And here's another one, vampire grave found in Bulgaria. A skeleton that literally had a stake driven through its chest had been unearthed in Bulgaria in what archaeologists were terming a, quote, vampire grave. All of this also reminds me of some strange crime stories I've seen pop up over the last few years. Here's one. Police say stripper from Tampa thought his partner was a cannibal, so he stabbed him in both of his eyes. Here's another one. Schoolgirls wanted to murder their classmates and drink their blood. The pair thought they would go to hell so they could be with Satan. Keep in mind, these children were 11 and 12 years old. And here's another one that just happened a few months ago. Satanic sacrifice. Siblings gouge out mother's eyes and bathe in her blood to invoke the devil. And here's another one that's very interesting. And this ties us back into the so-called elite. So the British royals used to be cannibals dining on human flesh. And now we're tying that back into the vampires. Prince Charles, heir to Dracula's bloodline. The Romanian tourist board is to use links between the British royal family and Count Dracula to lure in UK tourists. But they really did find that Prince Charles' bloodline is related to Vlad the Impaler. And here's just another way that our culture cannibalizes itself, that we're cannibalizing each other. A Toronto dermatologist says a Swiss company's use of aborted fetal cells in skin cream is, quote, a bit weird. More importantly, after analyzing their data, they couldn't find any reason to justify it. Yet another example is how fetal tissue is actually used in many of our vaccines. I often say we're living at a time where the veil is lifting, and I believe it. I see evidence of that all around me. something I've been showing to people for years here on my YouTube channel. So keeping that in mind, over the last few years, many of us have heard about this weird subculture taking place in Hollywood, in politics, spirit cooking dinners, these rituals that mock cannibalism. All of this centered around a very popular witch with the Hollywood elite and also with the political elite, and that's Marina Abramović. Culture cannibalizing, a cannibalistic culture. We are eating ourselves. So right around the time all of this stuff was being revealed with
Oh, I really need some coffee. I was intense on that for a minute.
Katy Perry, of course, she came out
I'd like to look at it,
for a song called
but
this is an example
it's going to be hard for me to update this. Because I did the path inside the dream, which means that I got to go back here to the remix of this guy that I used it on.
About modern day cannibals.
I believe.
Again, this is how I see the beast system protecting itself. Now, when somebody brings up this subject about cannibalism or these cannibal parties or what have you, or people in politics getting involved in Hollywood, those people are just going to roll their eyes and be like, yeah, I saw that Santa Clarita Diet show too. So at this point, I could show you tons and tons of images of TV shows and movies that center around what's called paranormal romance. That's a subgenre of both romantic fiction and speculative fiction. It focuses on romantic love and includes elements beyond the range of scientific explanation, if you will, blending together themes from different fiction genres, fantasy, science fiction, and even horror. The common hallmarks are romantic relationships between humans and vampires, shapeshifters, ghosts, and other entities. Paranormal romance is a multi-million-dollar industry. This is huge. And essentially what it's doing is normalizing relationships between humans and demonic spirits, or incubus and succubus. Again, paranormal romance. This is a romance taking place between human beings and supernatural creatures. They make it look all nice and pretty as TV shows and movies, but at its very core, these are satanic beings, incubus and succubus. And this kind of mind control has a very powerful effect on young people. Check out this clip right here.
Well, there's another murder case that's making some big headlines this time in Florida. A suspect claims she's part vampire, part werewolf. 16-year-old Jacob Hendershot's badly beaten body was found in a storm drain.
Since I was like 12, with every fiber of my being, basically everything, I know this is going to be crazy, but I believe that I'm a vampire. Part of the vampire and part of the werewolf.
Now, Misty says she didn't drink Hendershot's blood after the murder, but claims she has drank the blood of her fiancé, co-defendant 25-year-old William Chase. 5 people, including Christie, are charged with either murder or accessory after the fact.
So we've established that there's power in the blood, and we see evidence of that going all the way back to biblical times. And now we see this playing out in modern times. People are literally seeking young blood to put inside their own bodies. The power of the blood. So all of this is also an example of a term called revelation of the method. It's also predictive programming. And it can also be called lesser magic, because we're dealing with occultists, right? We're dealing with Luciferians. And they're normalizing all of this behavior that used to be hidden in the shadows. The occultists are disguised from our conscious awareness, but it's shown to us in esoteric occultism. So in that sense, humanity is being pre-programmed to accept what's about to unfold. We become a part of the plan. So here's another example of predictive programming, of revelation of the method. All this is playing out before our very eyes globally right now. These are photos from a 1972 Rothschild Illuminati party. Now flash forward many years later, and this is all mainstream. Here's a story that just came out, an inside peek at the erotic New Year's Eve, quote, Illuminati ball. And as you can see here, these are just some of the images from this so-called Illuminati ball. So what was once done in the shadows, what was once done in secret, has now become mainstream. Now we're all involved. Here's just another example of how there really is power in the blood. I wanted to share this story with you as well. Scientists just made human egg cells from human blood for the first time ever.
And as we keep going, this is no big surprise because Even in Revelation 11, we see that the Bible itself prophesies that when the two witnesses come in Revelation 11,
watching a
after
video.
they have
There's a
finished their
little
testimony,
crooked there.
and the beast comes out
This
of
is
the
supposed to
pit
be a
and
game.
slays them, their bodies will lie in the streets, and their blood will be all over the place.
Works.
And people
So
will just
this
leave them in
is
the streets to rot. They will not even bury them. They will even rejoice and send gifts to one another. So, you know, for society to get to that point, that is quite disturbing for people to just leave their bodies right here in Revelation 11. It says that their dead bodies will lie in the streets
and then see if it takes me back.
And those people from tribes, tongues, and nations will see their dead bodies being
takes me all the way back here.
Put into the grave. And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them, make merry, and send gifts to one another.
Why does it take me all the way back here?
Dwell on the earth. So you gotta really believe
the
that
gate
these
is showing
people,
that it's supposed to
people in
take
the
me
world
back
just
to
letting them
the
lie there, and they're even sending gifts and celebrating
by the door
fact
there.
that they're dead, that their blood is in the streets, and they're just lying there. Really, you know, we are pretty much getting close to that kind of thing. If we can see what is going on with the spirit cooking and all this bloodlust and sacrifice that is going on, people literally is being promoted to, you know, basically eat the blood of others and the flesh of other people. I mean, we're not really that far off from what this scene is being described in Revelation 11. We are definitely not far off at all. That is definitely coming very, very soon. And, you know, getting back to Drew Barrymore and the fact that she's got blood coming out of her mouth, you know, they make it a big joke, but I also find it interesting that, of course, they picture her in red. We constantly see this woman in red, or the woman in the red dress. And to me, it is totally giving us a clue to who that is. It is none other than Mystery Babylon, or the whore of Revelation 17. And, of course, what do we know that the whore has in her hand? A cup of blood that she is drunk on, according to the Bible, Revelation 17. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua, of Jesus. And when so you know, we can see what is being shown to Drew Barrymore to me is totally illustrating the mystery Babylonian whore, which is, you know, all of the mystery religions and the paganism that is literally engulfing this world, and people are getting so caught up in this stuff that everything is culminating with this whore, with Diana, with Ishtar, with Isis, with Semiramis, with the beast of Nimrod that is coming very soon. This is all the spirit of Antichrist, and this is what is coming. And, you know, we need to realize that the only blood that can save us is the blood of Yeshua. He is the only one that can save us from our sins, that can give us eternal life and freedom, because he has laid down his life for his friends. Only Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, can save us from all of this chaos, this bloodlust, this Baal worship, all of these things that are being promoted in this world as a joke, and they want to make it seem cool, they want to make it seem funny, they want to make it seem like a normal thing. Please do not fall for that. This is nothing but normal. This is anything but normal. Eating human flesh is completely detestable in the sight of God Almighty. He is the one that has created us. That murder is an abomination to him. He does not want this. He wants us to be saved from our sins, to be saved from this world, and the only way to be saved is by believing in the one that he has sent, Yeshua HaMashiach, who has given his life. He has sacrificed his blood on the altar for our sake once and for all. No more blood sacrifice is needed. So all of these things that we are being shown, do not be fooled by this. This is not normal. This is pagan. This is occultic and Satan worship in general. This is what we are being shown. This is all Mystery Babylon. Even as we talked about in the Emerald City video about basically showing, you know, Mystery Babylon coming to save the day. That is anything but. She is not coming to save the day. She is going to destroy this world along with her hero, the Antichrist. So put your trust in Yeshua and flee from the practices of this world. It is, you know, those who stay in this world are literally going to follow the devil into oblivion. Please do not be one of those. Please put your faith and your hope and your trust in Yeshua HaMashiach. He is the only one who can save you. God bless you.
So my wife's been on this new diet. She feels good, looks fantastic, and has all kinds of energy.
I don't want your commercials,
really
man. I don't want the commercials.
So it's all
Can
great.
I not hear your commercials, please? Thank you. Is this a commercial? Oh, no, it's not. Okay.
Throwing rocks at the ducks. If you've tried all the other diets and are looking for the one that really works, Then the Santa Clarita Diet is for you. Lose as much weight as you want and keep it off forever. No gimmicks, just great results. It's easy, and your family will love the new you.
But no one saw us. And you know, the guy was being to the ducks. The Santa Clarita Diet. It's great. Get the first month free.
Huh? My video there's over. That sucks. Bummer. Yes, save.
Hey, good people. Well, I'm happy to say that Chinese Black has 2 more channels. Chinese Black Get 'em. She already been working on it. They already got so many videos on there already. Anyway, this particular one right here. Is full of sodomy. Let's go back. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, what's up, y'all? This is Chinese Black with another video. And one of my subscribers, my beautiful subscribers, was like, Black, do this. Hey, Eddie. Was white. And I was like, yeah, since you want to report the news on everything else, including this hoax, your ass is on the news now. Now, I told you guys Hollywood is full of sodomites, okay? And they're married to the same sex, okay? And Hollywood is a film and movie industry, and they go there to act as anchormen, journalists. It's all a part of the act. You understand? Now I want you guys to pay attention because this is a male in disguise as a fake female. This is Chris Cuomo's husband, a transgender. Look at that throat. Look at this big wide jaw, this big chin, this big wide jaw, and look at the overall head, and look at that skeletal, bony ass chest. Yeah, since you want to be down with the devil. All right, ladies. Your ass is exposed too. If you're not on my hit list, get ready. I don't respect devils, Chinese Black. Get them. Devil worshippers, devil puppets, devil anything. And I damn sure do not respect Hollywood. Get them. Get them. I brought up this photo to show you the male chest. I want you to just look at it. Look at the bony, skeletal chest. Just look at it. Now, look at individual Wendy got fake breast on a male chest. No woman chest is like that. Look at the chest area. No woman chest is like that. No woman's throat is like that. He has an Adam's apple sticking out of his neck just like his husband, Chris Kwame, because they're males, that's why. You see the jawline on that? You don't know what cheek, Chris is. The chest, the throat, everything speaks male, never female.
Oh.
This is this fool right here. Told you. They are the ones who push the gay agenda, the transgender agenda, and every negative abomination agenda. They are behind it. Hell, that's who behind it. You don't think Hollywood is all about sodomite, sodomy, disgusting sick shit that goes on behind the scenes? You better ask somebody where you think all that sick shit comes from. Love heals. Get the fuck out of here. That's right. That throat. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Man. Generally, male skulls are heavier. The bones are thicker, and the areas of muscle attachment are more defined than in females. That means the male skull, the male head, the jawlines are more prominent. There are also key differences in the appearance of the male and female forehead, the male and female eyes, and the male and female jaw between men and women that are used to determine the sex of a skull. Male and female skull differences. Now, Pete, look at this male skull. Let's go. 1, 2, that's the jaw. 3, that's the chin. 4, that's the other side of the jaw. 5, the other side of the skull. Forehead makes 6. Just like I demonstrated the angles of Mr. Christina Cuomo's skull. Same thing. And as you can see, look how round and sharp the female jaw is compared to the male. You see? Do you see the difference? Look at that. That's a big, big, big difference. The male cranial mass is more blocky and massively larger compared to the females, which is more rounder and tapers at the top. Female skulls are round and very sharp at the bottom, meaning like it. Oval shape, a heart shape, round, you know what I mean? The female supraorbital margin is sharper, exactly, while the male's is rather round and dull. The zygomatic bone is more pronounced on the male skull. Pete, the mandible of a female is more rounded, while the male is squared. Female skulls are round, males' skulls are square, period. Males have a deeper cranial mass. And just look at that. Up in there. Wide jaw, big chin, wide jaw, receding hairline, just a big head, a big skull, and look at the throat. Adam's apple, a projection at the front of the neck formed by the thyroid cartilage of the larynx, often prominent in men, meaning only men Adam's apple sticks out of their necks. It goes up and down when they chew. It goes up and down when they talk. They can just be sitting there staring at you, and you will see it. When they move, it moves. Not in real women. You heard. The Adam's apple is a lump of cartilage that sticks out from the throat. It is more prominent in males. You see it in bold print, and it serves no specific function. They are often more prominent in males. You see it in bold print, who tend to develop larger larynxes than females. Exactly. As the larynx grows behind the Adam's apple, it pushes the lump of cartilage outward. What do you see up there? Men, males. Not see females up there, and you won't. What do you see? Males, 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 men, men. Let's move on. Now, these kids look like Mr. Chris Quavo, whatever.
Whatever the hell's name.
Okay? All I know is that Mr. Christina, Gravel, Cuomo, didn't carry shit. It's a transgender, a fake female, that they got disguised as a woman in Hollywood, deceiving the people because they're devils. Pay attention to the throat. This big skull, male head, please. The throat. Just look at it. Damn the hair. Just look at it. Stare at it for a minute. It's a man. You see that throat? You see the two lumps, man, please.
And you see him? There we go.
And this is what he do. This, wait a minute. And this is what this Chris Cuomo do. Put out the hopes. Infections are tested positive for coronavirus. Do you have it? Where your mask? Where's your glove, Mr. Cuomo? There you go. Look at the throat. Chris Cuomo and his transgender M2F husband has been exposed for their true colors. They are Hollywood deceivers, Chinese black. I will see out of the next video. He has the same Adam's apple as this individual right here. Look, and so does he, because both of them are men.
And thank you, Chinese black, for that. Exposing yet another devil hiding up under a wig. What is this? Shut up now. Yes, and Nandy put up her first and only video. It was a re-upload of a Mac video. I think it's the one that took down. They took down the video from Mac Ugly Truth, but he put the same video up on Mac Disturbing Truth Wild. Hey, Tracy.
Okay, this is a new door. Let's see if this door works. And
okay, no,
yes,
I didn't watch the video yet. Ooh,
it works. Can I go back out? trapped. All of connects. This all connects you to various creations, both complete and broken. In other words, this is my storage area. So this would be. Gonna go back out. And yes, but can they go back out? Come on. Well, I had that trigger zone triggering just for that companion, but instead of doing that, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hook it up as a normal thing. We'll just make it bigger and move it down. So we can get inside there. Trigger it. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So now, well, let's go ahead and exit. Because if I do it while it's in there, it may mess up, and I don't want to mess it up on my bad. So, let's go back here. Edit, and we'll update the blue room. The blue room to the city gate still works. Let's disconnect and reconnect that just to redo the connection. That one works. That one works. And that one works. So, exit, reset, and let's see how far I can get. I do want to put something there. Let me do that right now. Do this because I don't want to look for something. And this is better anyway for now, until I can find something. Because I want to do a texty message here. I know that's probably irritating people, but it's mainly for my son and myself, because he likes to, he's like, you should put, he always tells me, you should put some direction or arrow or something there so that people can know where to go. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. So a lot of these are suggestions that I get from my son.
When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." But Sir Gideon replied, "If the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our fathers told us about when they said, 'Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?' But now the Lord is not go away until I come back and made my offering and set you before you. The Lord said, I will wait for you. Gideon went in.
I put an arrow there a little bit, but that's mainly as a reference to tell me, yes, do this.
Brought them out and offered them to him on the wheel. The angel of God said to him, take the meat of the unleavened bread, place them on this rock, and pour out the broth. Gideon did so. He took the staff that was in his hand. The angel of the Lord touched the meat of the unleavened bread. Fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and the bread. The angel of the Lord disappeared. Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord. He exclaimed, son of David, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. Then the Lord said to him, peace. You are not going to die. So Gideon
Shouldn't be that hard to say.
The Lord is peace. His name stands in honor of the Israelites. That same night the Lord said to him, take the second bow from your father's first, 170 years old. Tear down your father's altar to Baal and cut down the sheaf of gold beside it. Then build a consecrated altar to the Lord your God on the top of this height. Using the wood of the cedar pole that you cut down, offer the second bow as a burnt offering. So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord told him. But because he was afraid of his family and the men of the town, he did it at night rather than in the daytime. In the morning, when the men of the town found out there was Baal's altar in the rock, with the sheaf of gold beside it cut down, and the second bow sacrificed on the newly built altar. He asked each other, who did this? When they carefully investigated, they were told, Gideon, son of Joash, did it. The men of the town said to Joash, bring out your son. He must die, because he has broken down Baal's altar and cut down the sheaf of gold beside it. But Joash replied to the huntsman round about him, are you going to plead Baal's cause? Are you trying to save him? Whoever fights for him shall be put to death by morning. If Baal really is a god, he can defend himself when someone breaks down his altar. So that day they called Gideon and Jeremiah, saying, let Baal contend with him, because he broke down Baal's altar. Now all the Midianites, Amalekites, and other heathen peoples joined forces and crossed over the Jordan and camped in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, summoning the Abiezrites to follow him. He sent messengers to Manasseh, calling them to arms, and also into Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, so that they too went up to meet them. Gideon said to God, if you will save Israel by my hand, as you have promised, look, I will place a gold piece on the crescent floor. If there is dew only on the piece, and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said. That is what happened. Gideon rose early the next day. He squeezed the piece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, do not be angry with me. Let me make just one more request. Allow me one more test with the piece. This time make the piece dry and the ground covered with dew. That night God did so. Only the piece was dry. All the ground was covered with dew. Nehemiah chapter 7. After the wall had been rebuilt, and I had set the doors in place, the gatekeepers and the singers and the Levites were appointed. I put in charge of Jerusalem my brother Hanani, along with Hananiah, the commander of the citadel, because he was a man of integrity and feared God more than most men do. I said to them, the gates of Jerusalem are not to be opened until the sun is hot. While the gatekeepers are still on duty, have them shut the doors and bar them. Also appoint residents of Jerusalem as guards, some at their posts and some near their own houses. Now the city was large and spacious, but there were few people in it, and the houses had not yet been rebuilt. So my God put it into my heart to assemble the nobles, the officials, and the common people for registration by families. I found the genealogical record of those who had been the first returned. This is what I found written there. These are the people of the province who came up from the captivity of the exiles whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had taken captive. They returned to Jerusalem and Judah, each to his own town, in company with Zerubbabel, Jeshua, Nehemiah, Azariah, Rehemiah, Nehemiah, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mizperath, Bigvai, Elam, and Baanah. The list of the men of Israel, the descendants of Parosh, 2,172, of Shephatiah, 372, of Ava, 652, of Pahath Moab, through the line of Jeshua and Joab, 2,818, of Elam, 1,254, of Zachu, 845, of Zacchaei, 760, of Ben-Ui, 648, of Bebai, 648, of Asgad, 2,322, of Adonai, 667, of Bigbai, 2,067, of Aden, 655, of Adrian from Hezekiah, 98, of Hassan, 328, of Bezai, 324, of Harlon, 112, of Gilead,
Okay. Genealogy's gonna go. Aha.
Now a man named Antiochus, who gathered from his wife's supply, also sold a piece of property. His wife was a classified the money for himself, but brought the rest and put it at the apostles' feet. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money you received for the life? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? After it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to men, but to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell down and died. And great fear seized all who heard what had happened. But the young men came forward, wrapped up his body, and carried him out and buried him. About 3 hours later, his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. Peter asked her, Tell me, is this the price you and Ananias got for the land? Yes, she said, that is the price. Peter said to her, How could you agree to test the Spirit of the Lord? Look, the feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door. They will carry you out also. At that moment she fell down at his feet and died. Then the young men came in, and finding her dead, carried her out and buried her beside her husband. Great fear seized the whole church and all who heard about these events. The apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders among the people, and all the believers used to meet together in Solomon's colonnade. No one else dared join them, even though they were highly regarded by the people. Nevertheless, more and more men and women believed in the Lord and were added to their number. As a result, people brought the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and mats, so that at least Peter's shadow might fall on some of them as he passed by. Crowds gathered also from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing their sick and those tormented by evil spirits. And all of them were healed. Then the high priest and all his associates, who were members of the party of the Sadducees, were filled with jealousy. They arrested the apostles and put them in the public jail. But during the night an angel of the Lord opened the doors of the jail and brought them out. Go stand in the temple courts, he said, and tell the people the full message of this new life. At daybreak they entered the temple courts, as they had been told, and began to teach the people. When the high priest and his associates arrived, they called together the Sanhedrin, the whole assembly of the elders of Israel, and sent to the jail for the apostles. But on arriving at the jail, the officers did not find them there, so they went back and reported, We found the jail securely locked, with the guards standing at the doors, but when we opened them, we found no one inside. On hearing this report, the captain of the temple guard and the chief priests were puzzled, wondering what would come of this. And someone came and said, Look, the men you put in jail are standing in the temple courts teaching the people. At that, the captain went with his officers and brought the apostles. They did not use force because they feared that the people would stone them. Having brought the apostles, they made them appear before the Sanhedrin to be questioned by the high priest. We gave you strict orders not to teach in this name, he said. Yet you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching and are determined to make us guilty of this man's blood. Peter and the other apostles replied, we must obey God rather than men. The God of our fathers raised Jesus from the dead, whom you had killed by hanging him on a tree. God exalted him to his own right hand as Prince and Savior, that he might give repentance and forgiveness of sins to Israel. We are witnesses of these things, and so is the Holy Spirit, whom God has given to those who obey him. When they heard this, they were furious and wanted to put them to death. But a Pharisee named Gamaliel, the teacher of the law, who was honored by all the people, stood up
Gotta go fast.
and ordered that the men be
hello.
put aside for a little while. Then he addressed them.
Let me see the comments. Gotta go fast. Yeah, it's turning them up. How fast, though? I was thinking, I mean, I could make him really fast, but when I do that, he doesn't control that good.
Therefore, in the present case, I advise you, leave these men alone. Let them go.
That's
For
a little
if their
better.
purpose or activity is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You will only find yourself...
Thought I needed to give him a helmet, since he's going to be going faster.
They called the apostles in and had them brought. And then they ordered them not to speak in the name of Jesus and let them go. The apostles
Figure out how I want to do that.
because they had been counted worthy of suffering disgrace for the name. Day after day in the temple courts and from house to house, they never stopped teaching and proclaiming the good news that Jesus is the Christ. Acts chapter 5. Now a man
Nice car or something, I like it.
also sold a piece of property.
Hey, that's cool. I can hear your text come through as talk. I'm not sure where that's coming through at, but that's awesome.
Then Peter said, Ananias.
Yeah, I wanted to give him a base so that I was actually trying to build something else.
And have kept for yourself some of the money you received for the life.
Thank you.
Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to men, but to God. When Ananias heard this, he bowed
I'm
down.
all grown up. I reached rank 3 on something.
All who heard what had
Nice.
happened. Then the young man came forward, wrapped up his body, and carried him
Now I need to say that in here.
not knowing what had happened. Peter asked,
And I need
"Is
to
this the Christ you and Ananias got from the lion?" Yes, she said.
save it somewhere else.
Peter said to her,
Yeah, Sonic.
"Did you read? Test the
How you doing, man? I see you there.
The feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door. They will carry you out also." At that moment,
You gotta save it like 10 times every time I update something.
and finding her dead, carried her out and buried her beside her husband.
And hopefully it works. And then you test it. Yeah, this guy's slow too, but when I get that other puppet, he's more advanced. Let me get my speed racer, or whatever he is. He's in a spawn right here somewhere.
Nevertheless, more and more
Won't take him long.
believed in the Lord and were added to their number.
It's more of a side guy, you know, a little side. I made him, the reason I went to edit him is, for one, he was slow, and another, he was kind of getting stuck in this little edge right here, because he's too small.
Bringing their sick and those tormented by evil spirits.
Because when I take away some of the sharpness or whatever detail, then he falls in this edge. And maybe that edge is too big.
They arrested the apostles and put them in the public jail.
I'm just, yeah, right here he was falling in. Like this edge is pretty shoddy.
Go stand in the temple courts,
Alright, here he is.
and tell the people the full message of this new life. At daybreak,
Oh, he's still slow.
as they had been told, and began to teach the people.
Turns faster, so if you go sideways, you're kind of skiing.
They called together the Sanhedrin, the full assembly of the elders of Israel, and sent to the jail for the apostles. But on arriving at the jail, the officers did not find them there. So they went back and
I didn't want him to get around my small town too fast.
The guards standing at the doors, but when we opened,
I can put a fast guy in here, but at certain places. Where should I, like, let me show you this guy.
Then someone came and said, "Look, the men you put in jail are standing in the
that's slow.
teaching the people." At that, the captain went with his officers and brought
Yeah, let me speed him up more. It looks horrible. I agree.
Having brought the apostles, they made them appear before the Sanhedrin to be questioned by the high priest. "We gave you strict orders not to teach in this name," he said. "Yet you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching and are determined to make us guilty of this man's blood." Peter and the other apostles replied, "We must obey God rather than men. The God of our fathers raised Jesus from the dead, whom you have killed by his
Since Sonic showed up, I will make my guy a little bit more Sonic-y.
And as Prince and Savior, that he might give repentance and forgiveness of sins to Israel.
Need to save it a couple more spots. Hold on. I know I should have tested it, but
God has given to those who
no better way to test it than in where it's going to be.
He wanted to put them to death. But a Pharisee named Gamaliel, the teacher of the law, who was honored by all the people, stood up in the Sanhedrin and ordered that the men be put outside for a little while. Then he addressed them. "Men of Israel, consider carefully what you intend to do to these men.
This guy,
Some time ago, Judas,
get up there,
claiming to be somebody,
and
and about 400 men rallied to him. He was killed. All his followers were dispersed, and it all came to nothing.
Where are you?
After him, Judas, the Galilean, appeared in the days of the census and led a band of people in revolt.
Do I have to get up on the block?
And all his followers were scattered. And therefore, in the present case,
There he
I
is.
advise you, leave these men
It takes a
alone.
minute.
Let them go. For if their purpose or activity is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You will only find yourselves
I'm waiting for the car. There he is.
Persuaded them. They called the apostles in and had them flogged.
Yeah.
They ordered them not to speak in the
Much
name of
better.
Jesus and let them go. The apostles left the Sanhedrin and rejoiced
Hello?
because they had been counted worthy of suffering disgrace for the
Okay.
name.
Well, it's,
My Wi-Fi isn't working.
it's working here, but okay.
They never stopped teaching and proclaiming
All right.
the good news that
Yeah,
Jesus is the Christ.
It's working.
You also have your stuff plugged into Ethernet cords.
Not the PlayStation.
Together with his wife Sapphira.
It's working. Try restarting it. If not, I'll restart this.
But brought the rest and heard that the apostles speak. Then Peter said, "Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money you received for the land? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to men, but to God." When Ananias heard this, he bowed down and died. And great fear seized all who heard what had happened. Then the young men came forward, wrapped up his body, and carried him out and buried him. About 3 hours later, his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. Peter asked her, "Tell me, is this the price you and Ananias got for the land?" "Yes," she said, "that is the price." Peter said to her, "How did you agree to test the Spirit of the Lord? Look, feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you out also. At that moment she fell down at his feet and died. And then the young men came in, and finding
restart the router, see if that, my daughter's internet isn't working.
fear seized the whole church and all who heard about these events. The apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders among the people, and all the believers used to meet together in Solomon's colonnade. No one else dared join them, even though they were highly regarded by the people. Nevertheless, more and more men and women believed in the Lord and were added to their number. As a result, people brought the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and mats, so that at least a shadow might fall on some of them as he passed by. Crowds gathered also from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing their sick and those tormented by evil spirits, and all of them were healed. Then the high priest and all his associates, who were members of the party of the Sadducees, were filled with jealousy. They arrested the apostles and put them in the public jail. But during the night an angel of the Lord opened the doors of the jail and brought them out. Go stand in the temple courts, he said, and tell the people the full message of this new life. At daybreak they entered the temple courts, as they had been told, and began to teach the people. When the high priest and his associates arrived, they called together the Sanhedrin, the full assembly of the elders of Israel, and sent to the jail for the apostles. But on arriving at the jail, the officers did not find them there. So they went back and reported, "We found the jail securely locked, with the guards standing at the doors, but when we opened them, we found no one inside." On hearing this report, the captain of the temple guard and the chief priests were puzzled, wondering what would come of this. Then someone came and said, "Look, the men you put in jail are standing in the temple courts teaching the people." At that, the captain went with his officers and brought the apostles. They did not use force because they feared that the people would stone them. Having brought the apostles, they made them appear before the Sanhedrin to be questioned by the high priest. "We gave you strict orders not to teach in this name," he said. "Yet you have filled Jerusalem with your teaching, and are determined to make us guilty of this man's blood." Peter and the other apostles replied, "We must obey God rather than men. The God of our fathers raised Jesus from the dead, whom you have killed by hanging him on a tree. God exalted him to his own right hand as Prince and Savior, that he might give repentance and forgiveness of sins to Israel. We are witnesses of these things, and so is the Holy Spirit, whom God has given to those who obey him." When they heard this, they were furious and wanted to put them to death. But a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a teacher of the law, who was honored by all the people, stood up in the Sanhedrin and ordered that the men be put outside for a little while. Then he addressed them, "Men of Israel, consider carefully what you intend to do to these men. Some time ago, Judas appeared, claiming to be somebody, and about 400 men rallied to him. He was killed. All his followers were dispersed, and it all came to nothing. After him, Judas, the Galilean, appeared in the days of the census and led a band of people in revolt. He too was killed, and all his followers were scattered. Therefore, in the present case, I advise you, leave these men alone. Let them go. For if their service or activity is of human origin, it will fail. But if it is from God, you will not be able to stop these men. You will only find yourselves fighting against God." This speech persuaded them. They called the apostles in and had them flogged. And then they ordered them not to speak in the name of Jesus and let them go. The apostles left the Sanhedrin rejoicing because they had been counted worthy of suffering disgrace for the name. Day after day in the temple courts and from house to house, they never stopped teaching and proclaiming the good news that Jesus is the Christ. Acts chapter 6. those days, when the number of disciples was increasing, the Grecian Jews among them complained against the Hebraic Jews because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. So the 12 gathered all the disciples together and said, "It would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the Word of God in order to wait on Peter. Brothers, choose 7 men from among you who are known to be full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will turn this responsibility over to them, and will give our attention to prayer and the ministry of the Word." This proposal pleased the whole group. They chose Stephen, a man full of faith and of the Holy Spirit. Also Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas from Antioch, a convert to Judaism. They presented these men to the apostles, who prayed and laid their hands on them. So the word of God spread. The number of disciples in Jerusalem increased rapidly, and a large number of priests became obedient to the faith. Now Stephen, a man full of God's grace and power, did great wonders and miraculous signs among the people. Opposition arose, however, from members of the synagogue of the freedmen.
First time I've been up top
Jews of
since I
Cyrene
put in this
and
ramp.
Alexandria, as well as
Wasn't
the
sure if I
provinces
could
of Cilicia and
get up
Asia.
here.
These men began to argue with Stephen, but they could not stand up against his wisdom or the Spirit by whom he spoke. And they secretly persuaded some men to say, "We have heard Stephen speak words of blasphemy against Moses and against God."
Whoa.
So
That's
they
scary.
stirred up the people and the elders
Whoa.
and the teachers of the law. They seized Stephen and brought him before the Sanhedrin. They produced false witnesses who testified, "This fellow never stops speaking against this holy place and against the law. For we have heard him
he
say
only
that
lasts
this
10
Jesus
minutes.
of Nazareth will destroy this place."
Nice, nice. I can almost make it down there. I wonder if you can make it to the end before the 10 minutes is what I was thinking. And this guy only lasts so long, so I was going to make a place that only he can go
In
to.
those days, when the number of disciples
Not this guy. He lasts forever, so he's kind of slow. But the special characters will only last a little while, is my idea. So this is going to be another part of town.
It would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the Word of God.
Like uptown, put some shops in here, I guess, with a maybe a big building here at the end, and then that'll probably just be a gated area, so then it'll just simply be an entrance to another place with detail here. No more doors, just the one. So let me go ahead and
they presented these men
edit this area since I'm here. I'm here.
So the word of
I
God
kind of like
spread.
the floor.
The number of disciples in Jerusalem and
This area, hey,
and a
it's
large
kind
number
of
of priests
could use some help. So let me
Now Stephen, the man full of
add
God's
some
grace and
detail
power,
about
did great
some
wonders and miraculous signs among the people.
wood.
Opposition arose, however, from members of the synagogue of the
Pillars.
freedmen, as it was called, Jews of Cyrene and Alexandria, as well as the provinces of Cilicia and Asia. These men began to argue with Stephen, but they could not stand up against his wisdom or the Spirit by whom he spoke. And they secretly persuaded some men to say, "We have heard Stephen speak words of blasphemy against Moses and against God." So they stirred up the people and the elders and the teachers of the law. They seized Stephen and brought him before the Sanhedrin. They produced false witnesses who testified, "This fellow never stops speaking against this holy place and against the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and change the customs Moses handed down to us." All who were sitting in the Sanhedrin looked intently at Stephen. They saw that his face was like the face of an angel. Acts chapter 6. In those days, when the number of disciples was increasing, the Grecian Jews among them complained against the Hebraic Jews because their widows were being overlooked in the daily distribution of food. So the 12 gathered all the disciples together and said, "It would not be right for us to neglect the ministry of the Word of God in order to wait on Peter. Brothers, choose 7 men from among you who are known to be full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will turn this responsibility over to them and will give our attention to prayer in the ministry of the Word." This proposal pleased the whole group. They chose Stephen, a man full of faith and of the Holy Spirit. Also Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas from Antioch, a convert to Judaism. They presented these men to the apostles, who prayed and laid their hands on them. So the word of God spread. The number of disciples in Jerusalem increased rapidly, and a large number of priests became obedient to the faith. Now Stephen, a man full of God's grace and power, did great wonders and miraculous signs among the people. Opposition arose, however, from members of the synagogue of the freedmen, as it was called, Jews of Cyrene and Alexandria, as well as the provinces of Cilicia and Asia. These men began to argue with Stephen, but they could not stand up against his wisdom or the Spirit by whom he spoke. And they secretly persuaded some men to say, "We have heard Stephen speak words of blasphemy against Moses and against God." So they stirred up the people and the elders and the teachers of the law. They seized Stephen and brought him before the Sanhedrin. They produced false witnesses who testified that this fellow never stopped speaking against this holy place and against the law. For we have heard him say that this Jesus of Nazareth will destroy this place and change the customs Moses handed down to us. All who were sitting in the Sanhedrin looked intently at Stephen. They saw that his face was like the face of an angel. Acts chapter 7. Then the high priest asked him, "Are these charges true?" To this he replied, "Brothers and fathers, listen to me. The God of glory appeared to our father Abraham while he was still in Mesopotamia before he lived in Haran. Leave your country and your and go to the land I will show you." So he left the land of the Chaldeans and settled in Haran. After the death of his father, God sent him to this land where you are now living. He gave him no inheritance here, not even a foot of land. But God promised him that he and his descendants after him would possess the land, even though at that time Abraham had no child. God spoke to him in this way: "Your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and they will be enslaved and mistreated 400 years. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves," God said, "and afterward they will come out of the country and worship me in this place." Then he gave Abraham the covenant of circumcision. And Abraham became the father of Isaac and circumcised him 8 days after his birth. Later Isaac became the father of Jacob. And Jacob became the father of the 12 patriarchs. Because the patriarchs were jealous of Joseph, they sold him as a slave into Egypt. But God was with him and rescued him from all his troubles. He gave Joseph wisdom and enabled him to gain the goodwill of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So he made him ruler over Egypt and all his palace. Then a famine struck all Egypt and Canaan, bringing great suffering, and our fathers could not find food. Jacob heard that there was grain in Egypt. He sent our fathers on their first visit. On their second visit, Joseph told his brothers who he was. Pharaoh learned about Joseph's family. After this, Joseph sent for his father Jacob and his whole family, 75 in all. Then Jacob went down to Egypt, where he and our fathers died. Their bodies were brought back to Shechem and placed in the tomb that Abraham had bought from the sons of Hamor at Shechem for a certain sum of money. As the time drew near for God to fulfill his promise to Abraham, the number of our people in Egypt greatly increased, Then another king who knew nothing about Joseph became ruler of Egypt. He dealt recklessly with our people and oppressed our forefathers by forcing them to throw out their newborn babies so that they would die. At that time Moses was born, and he was no ordinary child. For 3 months he was cared for in his father's house. When he was placed outside, Pharaoh's daughter took him and brought him up as her own son. Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. When Moses was 40 years old, he decided to visit his fellow Israelites. He saw one of them being mistreated by an Egyptian, so he went to his defense and avenged him by killing the Egyptian. Moses thought that his own people would realize that God was using him to rescue them, but they did not. Next day, Moses came upon 2 Israelites who were fighting. He tried to reconcile them by saying, "Men, you are brothers. Why do you want to hurt each other?" But the man who had mistreated the other pushed Moses aside and said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Do you want to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" When Moses heard this, he fled to Midian, where he settled as a foreigner and had 2 sons. After 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to Moses in the flames of a burning bush in the desert near Mount Sinai. When he saw this, he was amazed at the sight. As he went over to look more closely, he heard the Lord's voice. "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses trembled with fear and did not dare to look. Then the Lord said to him, "Listen to your sentence. The place where you are standing is holy ground. I have indeed seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their groaning, and have come down to set them free. Now come, I will send you back to Egypt." This is the same Moses whom they had rejected with the words, "Who made you ruler and judge?" He was sent to be their ruler and deliverer by God himself, through the angel who appeared to him in the bush. He led them out of Egypt and did wonders and miraculous signs in Egypt at the Red Sea and for 40 years in the desert. This is that Moses who told the Israelites, "God will send you a prophet like me from your own people." He was in the assembly in the desert with the angel who spoke to him in Mount Sinai and with our fathers, and he received living words to pass on to us. But our fathers refused to obey him. Instead, they rejected him, and in their hearts turned back to Egypt. They told Aaron, "Make us gods who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses who led us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." That was the time they made an idol in the form of a cat. They brought sacrifices to it and held a celebration in honor of what their hands had made. But God turned away and gave them over to the worship of the heavenly bodies. This agrees with what is written in the book of the prophets. "Did you bring me sacrifices and offerings 40 years in the desert, O house of Israel? You have lifted up the shrine of Moloch, and the star of your god Rephan, the idols you made to worship. Therefore I will send you into exile beyond Babylon." Our forefathers had the tabernacle of the testimony with them in the desert. It had been made as God directed Moses, according to the pattern he had seen. Having received the tabernacle, our fathers under Joshua brought it with them when they took the land from the nations God drove out before them. It remained in the land until the time of David, who enjoyed God's favor, and asked that he might provide a dwelling place for the God of Jacob. But it was Solomon who built the house for him. However, the Most High does not live in houses made by men. As the prophet says, "Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house will you build for me, says the Lord, or where will my resting place be? Has not my hand made all these things? You stiff-necked people with uncircumcised hearts and ears, you are just like your fathers. You always resist the Holy Spirit. Was there ever a prophet your fathers did not persecute? They even killed those who predicted the coming of the righteous one. And now